Okay, folks, here is part 3 of Lab 7 for our Intro to GIS class. I'm going to share my screen and let's get started on the last part. All right, let me make this a little smaller. I'm going back into GIS. Hopefully you can see my screen okay. Yep, looks like it. I also have my Lab 7 geoprocessing manual open. So now we're on part 5, starts on page 14. So now your office has been asked to review a permit application concerning the siting of a 100-meter tall cell phone tower to minimize the visual impacts to local residents. Just so you know, stuff like this happens all the time. Okay. You will use what's called the view shed analysis to identify areas that are visible from or able to see the proposed cell phone tower sites. So recall from lecture, a viewshed analysis maps those locations on the landscape that are visually connected. The result of this is a raster data set with ones and zeros. We're going to indicate which grid cells are visible by a 1 and not visible by a 0. So if you need to write yourself a note, that's okay, but visible is 1 and not visible is 0 so that you don't mix that up. You're also going to use something called zonal statistics to determine whether the tower is visible from a landowner parcel and then how much of the parcel is visible by one or both towers. If you're not sure what a parcel is, it's something that you use to map out areas like for people's land and whatnot. Um, it's not, like a postal parcel, okay? If you're curious about Vermont or any other, you can just always either click on this one for Vermont or you can look up like parcels in your state. That's all public data. It used to just be that you'd have to go in and look at the maps, the paper maps, but now everything's digital, which is pretty awesome. So zonal statistics computes the grid cells. We talked about that a little bit. You're also going to use zonal statistics as a table for a complete description. So remember that you're using multiple tools here. So when you get to a point, and if you get a little stuck, reread so that you don't do what I did in the last section, where if I had just read carefully, I would have done the calculation correctly. But that's okay. It happens. It's all right. Because a viewshed analysis produces an output raster that's binary, so zeros and ones, the mean value attribute is going to represent the percent of the parcel that's visible from a tower. This is only true when we're doing zonal statistics on a raster data set that's binary with 0 and 1. Moving forward, you're also going to use zonal statistics as a table to summarize other information like percent tree canopy or forest cover. You want to make a note of this. This is something that you're going to use in multiple labs and definitely on the final. Zonal statistics and zonal statistics as a table. Okay, since this is a new analysis, we're going to do a new map pane and we're going to call it visibility analysis. You're going to want to make sure that the raster analysis environment is still set correctly. Again, we can go back to page 2, but really it's just the 2-kilometer Richmond buffer. So we'll do that. We're going to add Tower 1 feature classes. We're going to choose a symbol that's easy to see the tower, and we're going to add the Richmond DEM. You can either do it from the other pane or you can grab it from the catalog. We're going to open up the viewshed tool, which is part of the spatial analysis, and we're going to do the input raster is the Richmond DEM or digital elevation model. The input point or polyline observer features to Tower 1, and the output raster we're going to call Tower 1 viewshed, and we're going to run it. Okay, so let's go back. So first, new map pane. We want to do insert, map pane. We're going to call this visibility analysis. Visibility analysis. Yes, this is how I spell. I also say Wednesday, just so I don't, anyway, that's how I learned. Okay, I'm going to go to my catalog. I'm going to go open up my database. I know I need the Richmond DEM, so right click, add to current map. I need to do it, it's slow. I need Tower 1. Oh, see, it's still thinking. Okay, I'm going to add Tower 1 to the current map. It's just a dot. Let's see what else it asked me to do. That's it. Okay. We're going to check our environment. So we're going to go to analysis, go to environments. And yes, this can change regularly, so you should always, oh, I don't know why that's so big, that's annoying. You should always check this. So again, right, these are just the extent of all the data in the layers, but I can click here, I can go to my database, and I can, no, come on, and I can choose the 2 kilometer boundary. All right, click OK. So save, I know my environment is good to go. These are steps that you need to remember how to do, okay? So we're going to change the symbology for tower 1 because that little dot is pretty hard to see. So I'm going to right click, go to symbology. You can double click the symbol. You can type in something like tower. I don't know. You know, you can play around with it. There's all kinds of stuff. So industrial tower, electrical tower, it's a cell tower. So, you know, you have telecom, right? Like this one, you have radio towers. You can play around with it. So basically whatever you think is going to pop out the best, that's what you might want to use. This is for 3D, so don't use that unless you're making a 3D map. These are pretty cool, but they will slow down your processing. So you're going to want to stick with something 2D. So I'm just going to do radio tower. You know, and you can make it bigger, right? You can go to properties and you can make the size bigger. You can change the color to something bright, except the rest of the map is really bright. So maybe I'll just change it to black instead of gray. And you can also play around with the appearance here. You can change the position. You can rotate it, you know, at an angle if you want. This is the shape right here. And then this is the background. So if I don't want the background, I can double click on this. Oh, I gotta click on the unlock button first. Then I double click on this and I change the color to no color. And I click apply. And then, oh, I also need to change my outline color. Maybe I'll do outline to black. That way it kind of pops. Sure. Okay, so you can play around with this and however it shows up on your map and, you know, go back and forth. So I'm going to click save now that I've done that. I'm going to go back to my manual. What else am I supposed to do? Open the view shed tool because I already have the DEM in there. So I'm going to go back to geoprocessing. I'm going to type in view shed. Enter. Okay, so of course you have a couple different ones, right? So we want to do the spatial analysis tool. And I'm pretty sure it tells us how to set this up. So your input raster is Richmond DEM. The next line is tower 1. So this one is Richmond DEM. Your input point is tower 1, right? Because it's a vector. And then we're going to name it tower 1 view shed. Cool. So I'm going to backspace so that it stays in my geo database. Tower 1 view shed, no spaces, so that I don't make it mad. Everything else can stay the same, and I'm running in. Okay, well, that's fun. Let's see. How many cells were identified in the view shed analysis? So interesting. Did I choose the wrong tool, maybe? Because it's not supposed to look like that. Let's go back. View shed, ready to use. Input of term is the raster, turns polygons into visible areas. Let's try this one. I'm so curious about this now. Input. Tower 1. Oh no, this is for distance, so we don't want that one. Geodesic view shed determines raster surface locations. It's the same thing as spatial analysis. Okay, so we did the same tool. So right click, open up the attribute table. And let's see what we have. Okay, now you can answer the question based on what you got. Okay, let's see here. Sorry. Okay, so we're back to tower 1 view shed. It's all one color. That's not right because I know there's zeros and ones when I look at my attribute table. So that means it's just a symbology issue. So right click, open up symbology. Right now it's set at only one class. So I'm going to change this and make it 2 classes. I'm going to, let's see, this will be label is C. This is not view. No view. I don't know. You can name it whatever you want. This is just how I would do it. And I'm going to change this to like white or something. So there's a background. Okay, what does my manual say? Yeah, so does that look closer? Yeah, totally. See, so you can change the background to clear actually. You can do like no color. And so then it if your Richmond Dem is in here, and that's above it. Well, it's orange, so that's kind of hard to see. It looks like the Dem in here is Hillshade, so I can second. Play around with this. All right. Let's go back. Okay. So it should look similar to this. Basically, this is what's in the background. This is a screenshot from the suitability analysis. So as long as you have this outer part and something, which is the Tower 1 view shed, that there's some pieces missing. So look, if I turn off my Richmond Dem and I close this, see what that looks like. And then I turn my Richmond Dem back on and I change the color scheme to like that. See, now it looks different. Okay. So this is what you're looking for. So don't stress. It's just symbology. If your particular thing, this is Hillshade in here. So we'll have to go back. Okay. So now we're going to add a new field called Tower Visibility Category to the Richmond Parcels feature class with data set to text. So, okay, that's a couple steps. So we need to add Richmond parcels. So let's see, where's Richmond parcels? Richmond boundary, Richmond Dem, Richmond Road. Oops, do we not make parcels now? Okay, let me go back to the manual. Richmond parcels feature class. Did I miss that somewhere? Richmond roads. Richmond land cover, Richmond aspect. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my folder and see if I did not upload something. Yep, there it is. So annoying to think. Okay, so just to be fast, I'm gonna drag it on here and then I'm gonna right click and import it to my geodatabase. I'm gonna do Richmond parcels. I'm just trying to make this be faster than doing an export data set. Okay, now I can't play with this one over here in my contents because it is a shapefile. So get out of there, go back to catalog, and I'm going to grab Richmond parcels and put it on the map. Okay, so there it is. You know, symbology just decides what color it is. So don't worry if your symbology color is different. Okay, so now we're going to open up the attribute table and add a new field called Tower Visibility Category, and it's in text. Okay, so parcels, right click, stop it, right click, attribute table, add a field. What is it called again? Sorry, my brain is Tower Visibility text. Okay, so Tower Visibility, is it analysis? Category. Tower Visibility category. And it's going to be a text one. Thing here. Text, double click on the word long. It allows you to do that. Don't forget to save underneath the fields tab here, or it won't save. Now, when you close this, you should have a new column that says Tower Visibility Category. Go ahead and save your project when you're doing stuff like that. Okay, now I'm going to use the zonal statistics as table tool to determine the number of impacted parcels and the area of impact within each parcel. The zonal statistics as table tool summarizes the value of each grid cell within the boundary of the geometry of the features of the zone dataset. In this case, each real estate parcel is going to become a zone. Okay, cool. So zonal statistics is table. I'm going to type in geoprocessing, zonal statistics as table. Okay, we're doing spatial analysis. And then what are the next steps here? Does it tell us? Score. Input raster as Richmond parcels. So this is Richmond parcels. The zone field to par ID, which is just one of these columns here. Okay, that's all that is. The input value raster is probably viewshed. Yep, because that's what we just made. And then we're going to call it tower 1 Z stats. Okay, so viewshed and then tower 1 Z stats. Tower 1 Z stats. Okay. You may receive a warning that not all zones were rasterized. This means some of the parcels were smaller than the cell size. As a result, they were ignored. What do you suppose that means when you join your output table and the parcel data? See object number 8 in the image below. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and run this first. Run. Yeah, got some warnings. Okay, now you can open up the table to see it over here. And it said to look at number 8. Okay. Wow, it made a whole like thing. Cool. So parcel ID, count area, mean, standard deviation, some all kinds of information. Cool. Okay, awesome. So that's zonal statistics, Richmond. Oh, why did it do that? Dang it. Okay, I'm gonna go back and redo it so that it's named properly. It auto does that. It's so annoying. You don't have to do this, but I just, it's better than getting lost and stuff. What is it supposed to be called? Zonal tower 1 Z stats. Tower 1 Z stats. Tower 1 Z stats. And run. Okay. If you redo this without deleting it from your catalog, it's going to screw up your stuff. So don't just remove it from your contents pane and then it's not gone. Okay, contents is just temporary. So you have to go into your catalog, what you saw me do, and get rid of it. So now we have our tower 1Z stats. Cool. Now we're going to have to join the tables. Again, you're going to join the table to the feature class, which is the viewshed. Okay. So, or I guess we're joining it to parcels. Okay. Using par ID and par ID. Remember that we're joining tower 1Z stats table to the Richmond parcels data. So just make sure Richmond parcels is the input table and tower 1 is the join table. Okay, so we're going to do add join. Okay. Input table is what again? Richmond parcels. Input field is par ID. Join table is tower 1Z stats. Our ID, we're going to validate it. Always do that first. Looks like it has a whole bunch of records. That usually means it's good to go. And I click run. And now my Richmond parcels table is big, right? Now it has all the stuff from the stats table that I created. So go ahead and save that. And now let's look at what we're supposed to do next. So you can see each parcel zone right here. Okay, we just looked at that. Cool. So what does it mean if a what does it mean if a parcel has a max value of 0? Don't overthink it. Scroll through the table and look at the minimum and maximum values compared to the mean. All right. Remember that we're concerned about visibility here, and the mean value is the percent of the parcel that's visible. Okay, so min, max, mean is it down here? So some of them are null, like number 8. Okay, some of them are going to be 0. Remember, the mean is a percentage, so this is 41%, 91%, 100%. Doesn't exist for some reason, right? Okay, I'm giving you hints here. All right, same thing for question 14. Use the same logic. Based on the results of zonal statistics performed in the tower 1 viewshed, how many parcels in Richmond have at least one cell that is, has line of sight with the proposed tower. So we can use select by attributes here. Let's see, so tower one view shed data, right click. Let's open up the attribute table. Oh no, that's just a thing, right? So let's see. So where here are we gonna look? Think about it. I'll let you think about it for a second. So at least one cell would be at least 1%, right? And the mean is percentage. So select by attributes, where Richmond parcels, where the mean is, oh, not standard deviation, mean is greater than 0. Okay, and look, you have a number down there. We're close to what's in that. That's fun. So my data might be a little bit off. That's really great, but you get the idea. At least one cell is greater than 0. So, or you could do is greater than 0.1, I guess. Change the clear. Select by attributes is greater than 0.1. Let's see. So I get you a different number. Yeah, closer. Okay, so there you go. You guys can play around with that. Suppose the developer proposes a second tower site and wants you to compare the visual impacts of each tower to see what site has a less significant impact on the residents of Richmond. Add the tower to a feature class, just like with tower 1, run a viewshed analysis for tower 2, name that tower 2 viewshed, use zonal statistics as a table tool to summarize visibility using the same approach and call it tower 2z stats. You're going to join that to the parcel layer. Since you already have table 1 joined to the parcel feature class, the zone field will be listed as Richmond parcels.par ID instead of just par ID. So you have to make sure because otherwise you're going to be joining the wrong table. Now there's 2 tables joined to Richmond parcels. It's not obvious which attributes from tower 1 and tower 2 kind of work. So this confusion carries over in the select by attributes. However, you can always toggle to the SQL mode in the select by attributes interface and check your syntax. So tower 1 Z stats and tower 2 Z stats begin with different names. And so you can kind of see how to figure that out. All right, so I'm going to let you do that. You just go right back through the same steps that you did. Okay, so after you have gone through that, you should now have Richmond parcels that has both, let's see, both tower 1 and tower 2 Z stats attached to it. After you made those tables, again, if you were hoping that I would show you how to do that again, I'm not going to. You just go back through steps 8, 9, and 10. You can do it to be able to get that information. Suppose the select board wants to know which tower has a smaller impact on the residents. And they ask you to answer the following questions. Remember, the viewshed analysis extent beyond the boundaries of Richmond, but the select board is only really interested in the land area inside town. So there's several ways to look at this. We've gone over 2 approaches. So you can run an appropriate geoprocessing tool to answer the following questions. So how much area within Richmond is visible from Tower 1 in millions of square meters? So you have already figured out how to figure out how many acres are visible, right? So then you would compute acres, square meters, right? Or actually it'll be in square meters. That's my hint for question 16 and 17. All right. Now you are going to map the visibility analysis results. To tower 2, you should, did I not make that? oops, I forgot to add Tower 2 as a feature class. I haven't done that part yet, so let's get this in here. Did I mess that up? Yep, I did. That's fun. See, I missed steps 11. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and delete, remove Tower 2. To fix the join, Richmond parcels. Go to joins and relates, remove join. I want to remove the Tower 2 join because I messed that one up. So it takes the join off. I go back to the catalog. I get rid of my steps from Tower 2. And then I add Tower 2 to the map. I can play around with the symbology. I can go to gallery, type in tower. Thing 1. Cool. I can mess around with symbology later. I'm going to go to geoprocessing and go back through my steps of zonal statistics to table and then add. Okay, so I can get that tower to view shed set up. All right. Okay, so you had some time to think about it. How are you going to answer question 16 and 17? You've learned how to do this already. All right. The tricky hint here is that our view shed analysis is really set to the Richmond plus the 2 kilometer buffer. Okay. But the board is really only interested in inside the town. So what we're going to have to do is compute this based on the Richmond boundary only. Okay. So you can use zonal statistics, you can sum them up by count, and then you can figure out the square meters. All right. Those are my hints for you. All right. So now we're going to go to mapping the visibility. You have to do this in specific order, otherwise it'll get messed up. All right. So pay really close attention. So first we're going to query Richmond data. Richmond parcels data to find all of them with at least 25% greater than or equal to 25% of their pixels in a line of sight of Tower 1. Okay, so query Richmond parcels. So let's open up Richmond parcels, attribute table. We're going to do select by attributes, right? And we want, what is it? All the parcels with at least 25% in line of sight of Tower 1. So mean, what is it? Which mean is it, right? So, because when we pull up Richmond parcels, first you have Richmond parcels, then when the object ID starts, this is Tower 1, that's the first mean, okay? So it is greater than or equal to, and you're going to type in 25 here, or 0.25. Okay. Then you're going to apply, and it gives you a number. Now we're going to set the value of the tower visibility category to Tower 1 for the selected records. So we're going to hint, right? We're calculating the fields. We're going back in here and click OK. And there's this tower visibility category. So you're going to keep your record selected. You're going to calculate the field. Richmond parcels visibility, which is selected, equals, and we're just giving it a name, calling it Tower 1. So if you recall from last lab, we named it, right, in parentheses, apply, and okay, look, so now everything that was selected is called Tower 1. Yep. Now we're going to do the same thing for Tower 2. So we're going to go back here, we're going to clear, so we don't mess that up. We're going to select by attributes. We have to choose the next mean down because there's object ID, that's Tower 2, right? So then we're going to go mean is greater than or equal to 0.25. We're going to apply it. Now click OK. we're going to right click and we are going to calculate the field for tower visibility. And for this one, we're going to call it tower 2, right? Click apply. And okay, cool. So you have tower 1s and tower 2s. Let's see. Next, we want to query the data with at least 25% of visibility of both tower locations. All right. So we're going to go back in here. We're going to clear the data. We're going to select by attribute. And we're going to keep that one. And we're going to add the clause and, because it's both, right? And then we're going to choose the first mean, because that's, you know, that's tower 1's mean is greater than or equal to 0.25. Right? So the question is, yes. Okay, so we're going to go back to GIS. 0.25 and so first mean, second mean, apply. Okay, then we're going to calculate the field. And this is going to be called both towers. Both towers. Okay, apply. And okay. All right. Now the last one, select all the records where tower visibility is null, and we're going to name it meter tower. Go back to GIS. Select by clear first, and then we're going to select by attributes. Get rid of that. We're going to write where tower visibility. Tower visibility category is equal to field. Let's see. It's equal to null. We're just going to write null. Okay, null. Values, not fields. Null. Okay, apply. Does that work? Nothing came up. So what you have to do is equal to both towers, and tower visibility category is equal to tower 1, and tower visibility category is equal to tower 2. We don't actually want that. We're going to invert it, right? Remember that from last time. Click apply. It has to be or, right? Or to think about my operators, apply. All right. Okay, now I'm going to go back in here and look, and yeah, all the nulls are highlighted. So now I can right click, calculate field, and I can call this neither tower. And click apply. All right, so now it names everything. Cool. So I have that all in here. I'm going to save so I don't lose my work. Okay, to enhance the cartographic quality of our map, we're going to select those parcels that are water and roads. So you're going to do, again, select by attribute, parcel number is water, and set the value of tower visibility category to water. And then we're going to go back and do road. Okay, so parcel number is equal to water. So go back here, clear, select by attributes. I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to do parcel number. Parcel number is equal to water. Oh no, we don't want values, we want fields. Person. Is it parcel number? What is called water? What is it? It is, yeah, parcel number. And we want water, so I'm wondering why it's not letting us choose one. Let's try values again. It might be down here at the bottom. Yep, there we go. Water. Okay, so apply, click OK, right click. You're going to calculate the field and you're going to call this water. Oh, whoa, no, that's not right. Cancel that. Something's not right. Okay, clear. Yeah, so that was not right. So I'm going to clear that because it's not the whole thing. So select by attributes. Parcel number is equal to water. Oh, don't invert. Oops. Yep. Okay. Now there's 22. Yeah, that sounds about right. So now I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna calculate field, and I'm gonna call these water. Always double check your results, right? Okay. Click OK. Look, now it says water. I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna save so I don't lose my work. What else did it want us to do? Both towers, parcel number is road, and we're gonna call it road. Okay. So everything's cleared, select by attributes, parcel number is road, just down at the bottom. Nothing weird is clicked, apply. Okay, and then I'm going to calculate field, and I'm gonna call this road. Fine, okay, this just makes things look much nicer, right? Let's see, zoom to the spatial extent of the 2 kilometer buffer. And then create a map layout of the Richmond parcels draped over Richmond Hillshade. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna turn on. Okay, I want Richmond Hillshade. So right click, add to map. Ooh, pretty. I'm gonna put my view shed above that. My view sheds rather. Right, view shed. Tower 2 shed. Oh, it's not turned on. Okay, and then I have Hillshade in the background. I mean, is this what it wants? Or I guess we're gonna have to look and see what it wants. And then this is the buffer, right? It's already set to the Richmond buffer, and then I have the Richmond outline here, but what does it want? Zoom to the spatial extent of the buffer. Okay, that would be the Richmond Hillshade. So right click, zoom to layer. Cool. Create a map of the parcels draped over the hillshade. Adhere to the following guidelines. Use tower visibility as the value field and select unique values to display the method for the Richmond parcels layer. Okay, cool. So we go to Richmond parcels, right click, symbology, and you're doing unique values. We're going to choose not area, we're going to choose tower visibility category. Cool, that's fun. You can change whatever color you want, right? Primary colors, secondary colors, I don't know, whatever you want. But it has all of our stuff in here. Roads, waters, neither, both, tower 1, tower 2. We can play around with this in a second. I'll show you how to do that. Again, this would be the time when you could click on more color schemes and you could say, let's see, what is it, color? Lets you do this here. Yeah. So now you can do color brewer, right? Type in color blind. So you can do white to black, black to white. Allows you to pick the different colors. Okay. Gives you a much bigger, awareness of this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and some other, whatever. So you need at least 6 classes. So reds and greens are not great, right? But we could do orange to purple. There's 6 classes for orange to purple. Okay, and there, right? So you can choose whatever you want, but I try to choose things that work for whoever I'm giving this to. You want to make it accessible, right? Use Richmond parcels, cool. Use whatever color scheme you want and set the layer for transparency to 40%. All right, so go back here. I'm going to do transparency, feature layer, transparency 40. Okay, enter. Cool, 40%. Click that. I probably should turn off these other view shed things. We don't need them because it looks like we just want that. Why are my roads weird? Weird color, right? Tower. What is that? Parcels. Tower 1 and tower 2. Let me make sure those look good in there. I'm sure we're gonna need that. Hillshade. What is that? I'm trying to figure out what this blue line is. Map. Clear. Oh, yeah, there's something weird selected. Okay, so I unselected it, so it stops looking so goofy. Transparency, cool. Include 2 tower locations. Oh, see, it wants us to use the radio tower symbol. Great. The only visible data in this map layout should be tower 1, tower 2, the Richmond town boundary. Okay, to add that. We got Hillshade. Okay, Hillshade, parcels, Tower 1, Tower 2, and what does it want? Richmond Town Boundary. Okay, so we gotta go back in here, grab the catalog. Where's our Richmond boundary? Right click, add to current map. Yeah, that's not gonna work, so we're gonna make this a heavy black outline. All right, we're gonna do it that way, because we want it to pop, but not too poppy. I mean, you can always play around with this, right? If you really want it to pop even more, you can make it some other color. Change the weight. Be careful with blues again, greens. Okay, into the darker purple. There's my Richmond Town boundary. You can see the buffer and Hillshade. You can see that the parcels are all color coordinated based on this. If I don't want this all other values to show up, I just uncheck it here. And I can actually right click and remove it. I don't need it. We'll go ahead and save. If I want to mess around with the order, because I want it to be, I don't know, more organized, I can highlight this and see, do it this way, highlight, and then you move it up. Like so, and then Tower 2, up. So just stuff you can do before you go to make your map. So then we have road and water, either tower or both towers. Okay. You can change water to blue, since that makes the most sense, right? Let's see, solid fill. Let's change this to blue. So everybody knows that blue is water. All right. Neither tower. Let's make this a different color, like a really light color, because the other one is brown. So go to browns and do something super light. Or I could do, instead of solid fill, I can do hatched fill, that, and play around. So the roads, both towers is brown. The road is kind of a weird color. Let's do, roads are usually dark, so I'm gonna do like a dark color like that. Okay. You can also, change the fill. So there's roads, do hatched fill. Okay, that makes it hard to see. So I'm gonna go back to solid fill road. Y. Okay, cool. Do these colors make sense to you? Okay, so Tower 1 is light purple, Tower 2 is medium purple, both towers. I feel like that should be a really dark purple so that it stays within the color scheme. Like so. Okay. So it just depends on what you want. Once I finish playing around with that, I click save so that I don't mess up my stuff. I'm gonna go back here. Use the same north arrow that you see in the image below, create a scale bar using kilometers, adjust the layer names. Okay, you know how to do all of this. So I just showed you some tricks on making sure that towers look good. Oh yeah, you're also gonna wanna change your tower stuff here. So, don't forget to go back here and change your shape marker to match the other one. So outline color is black. And the fill color is going to be none. Okay, and we're going to make it bigger. Let's see, size. Just want to make sure they're the same size. Okay, so apply, that was 25, but this one needs to be darker too. Let's see, I think we did a shape marker and made it, yeah, so gray, black, so it pops a little bit better. So the tricky part with this now is that your background of Hillshade is on there. So you might want to pick a completely different color, which I'm going to do. I'm going to do like hot yellow. I'm going to make my outline hot yellow. Is it going to work? No, that's too, it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Oh, I got to make my shape marker outline hot yellow. Let's see what that looks like. It kind of shows up, but it's not, it's ugly. So let's see. I'm going to try something different. Maybe a bright blue or red or pink sometimes. Something that just pops against the background is what you want. But you want to, again, you can always change your outline width to be thicker like that. See? And then you can make your size bigger. and that will also help it. So I'm gonna go back to my shape marker and change this color to the same color that I was doing this in so that it shows up. There we go. You can play around with all this stuff, right? So shape fill, you could change the fill to be white. What's the shape symbol? I don't know what this to stay here. So you can kind of play around with all the stuff. You can outline it to be like a white like that, or you can outline it to be black. This is just for the shape itself. Sometimes that helps things pop depending on what your background is. So this is, you just want to make sure you make your symbols work the same. Okay. So then I'm going to go to tower 2. I'm going to change the color. All right. So you want to do all this before you start making your map. We're going to change our outline to 1. We're in size is 25. Is that the same size? I think we changed it to 30. So it matches. Then we're going to go to shape marker, and we're going to change that color to the bright color. Keep the outline. We wanted it to pop. See how I just changed the outline like that? But that's going to make it look a little weird. Right? Size 30. Right, I'm going to click apply. All right, so now you have 2 towers. You can, and my towers don't match because I wasn't paying attention. Great. Okay. Let's see. Size is 30. Now is it the same? Yeah. Okay. So size of the shape marker and the shape marker outline are both 30. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just trying to make sure it pops up. Okay. So now I have my boundary, my parcels, hillshade's always on the bottom. You want your towers to show up, so make sure they pop. You can always play around with the colors a little bit more. Everything seems to make sense based on the towers here. You know, in the parcels, you can play with this. Right now, you can call this something else. You can change it now. Otherwise, you just start, you know, go to insert, do your layout. You can choose whatever layout you want, right? I like to mix it up. So now you're going to try to make your map look like this. Make sure your map says by your name, not Dan, please, and the dates. All right. Now you can see Dan chose to make each tower a different color. That's totally fine. And it matches his visibility category, which is also really smart. So you might want to do that. He also left in other or null values as a gray. That's fine. You can do that as well. And that's it. Enjoy making your map. Think about the things that Lauren talked about in class.